Guyana's rice farmers have delivered on rice production targets set for 2023, with harvesting of the second crop of 2023 at 98%. The numbers are telling a wonderful story of triumph in the face of major challenges. For the second crop of this year, farmers sold just over 211,000 acres of land and have so far harvested approximately 647,000 tons of paddy thus far, from 206,354 acres of land at an average yield of 6.3 tons per hectare. The increase in yield is in part due to the favorable weather conditions for the growing of rice from land preparation all the way through to harvest. Prices in the mill have stayed at just over $4,000 per bag of A-grade paddy. The good showing by the nation's rice farmers was supported by the efforts of the Guyana Rice Development Board, GRDB, through its many field schools held across the country, activities that sought to remind farmers of the agronomic measures that are a must if a successful harvest is to be realized every time. Agriculture Minister Zulfikar MUSTAPHA has lauded the efforts of Guyana's rice farmers, saying it's a demonstration of good things to come and evidence that government's investment in the sector is bearing fruit.
We have seen we're about to close off, we're about 98% reaping of this crop, and I'm very, very happy that we have seen an increase from last year's figure, and also I am hoping that we'll meet the target that was set in the budget. We are about to make that target, or we'll surpass that target. This augurs well for us, although we are now experiencing a dry weather condition, an El Nino condition. We are able to work with the farmers to give them proper irrigation. And I'm hoping for next crop, the first crop in next year, that we can have a bumper production also. We are seeing that the yield have increased tremendously. We are having close to about 40 bags per acre on average, and this shows that the husbandry and what we have been doing technically is now showing the good sign that we are getting good production level, and I'm hoping that this practice can continue. What we have done also, we have seen a number of new varieties being planted, and this show that most of, like for example, the red rice that farmers used to experience, the paddy bugs, and so we are getting less and less of those. This show that the varieties withstanding those problems, and I'm hoping that next year can be we can increase tremendously what we are doing here. We'll increase more in terms of acreage and also increase yield. So I'm very optimistic that the rice crop next year will be better than this year, but this year is good for us, and this is show that we are making the targets.
Deputy General Manager of the GRDB, Mr. Kuldip Ragnod, who has been spearheading the farmers' field schools and guiding the extension staff in their interactions with rice farmers on their farms throughout, says the production results are very encouraging.
Numbers in terms of yields, the yields were like about 6.3 tons per hectare. Overall acreage harvested, for this crop is 210,000 acres were harvested, with the average yield being about 6.3 tons per hectare. We have seen that in region 4, that region, they obtained the highest yield at about 7.4 to 7.5 tons per hectare, and that was followed by black bush polar. It's not a region, but as an area, black bush polar, which average again around 7 tons per hectare. So all the other regions did pretty well in terms of the yield. We've seen it. The yields were actually above that of the first crop of 2023. You know, from July, or probably from August, you know, the weather was pretty dry, had very little rain, but the sunshine or the sunlight actually did well for the crop, because that at that point in time the crop was going through its maturation phases and reproductive phases, and that's more specifically the flowering, grain filling and ripening phases. And at that stage of the crop, this is where you actually need the sunshine or the sunlight. And so the sun, in as much as it it probably in very few cases that sunlight or that predominance of sunshine would have caused some limitation of water in some areas, but by and large, for the most part, the sunshine contributed to the kind of yields that we saw in the second crop of 2023.
As always, farmers of Cane Grove in Region 4 who cultivated just over 8,000 acres of rice and realized a yield of 7.1 tons per hectare, by far the highest yield for the country. This was followed by Blackbush, with farmers there reporting yields of up to 6.7 tons per hectare. While just 2% of farmers are still cutting rice, the majority have already prepared their lands and are awaiting the rains to begin sowing for the first crop of 2024. According to the GRDB's Deputy General Manager, the numbers are looking good so far.
In terms of land preparation, and that's land preparation, in my view, has exceeded what we expected. But at the same time, we know it's the sunshine or the sunlight or the dry period would have contributed to that. If you can recall, 2021, when we had the flood. After that, a lot of the lands were unable to dry, especially in Region 5, in the MMA area, over the main canal, in the riverine areas, especially Myconi rivers, both the left bank and the right bank of Myconi rivers. Those areas, those land, they remain more or less soggy, more or less wet, even until the last crop. They weren't sown. A lot of those lands were not sown. Big bushes overtook those land, and that's because, like I said, the 2021 flood, and then even after that, you had a consistent rain in 2022 in both seasons for both crops in 2022. So those lands were unable to dry out. So with the sunlight and dry weather conditions, farmers were able to prepare those land, put those land under the plow. In some areas, I visited some of these areas and I saw where you had big bushes. They're actually, those lands are actually turned over now, meaning that they were plowed. So that's a good sign, and a good indication of what's gonna happen in terms of sowing for this season. We've already seen over 200 acres being prepared, and that's prepared dry. We didn't see that for the past since the 2021 flood. So we talking about 2021 flood in the second crop of 2021, the first crop of 2022, and the second crop of 2023, and also the first crop of 2023. So, the dry weather condition did encourage and did allow for this better, more lands being prepared, and also better land preparation, because farmers are doing, normally they would do one plow, now they're doing 2 plows, 3 plows, and things like that. So farmers are bringing back the lands them, and that's a term they normally use, bring back the lands, those lands that were damaged because of combine tracks, because of during harvesting, and because of there's deep combine tracks in the field, and also tracks, deep tracks that were caused by tractors in the field after being bogged down, and so those lands, the farmers were able to bring them back, put them in a state that they can actually take back rice and give better yields.
So it is expected that farmers will continue to cultivate the GRDB 16, a high-yielding variety released for commercial cultivation in 2021, a variety that is proving yields of up to 55 and 60 bags per acre. However, with the launch of Guyana's latest variety, the GRDB ICA 17, a collaborative effort between the GRDB's research station and the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, ICA, that saw the engineering of a zinc-fortified variety of rice that also boasts the high-yielding characteristics desired by farmers. This will be one of the varieties cultivated for the first crop of 2024, but only by a select group of persons. In this first roll-up, There is a very good reason for this.
That variety, we have received very positive feedback from farmers. As a matter of fact, the demand for the seed is more than what we have. Of course, it's the first season, but definitely, it's going to be multiplied at the research station, and farmers will get an opportunity to sow it the next season. But this season, we are targeting those millers who have been cultivating rice as well. So we don't want that variety to get lost in the system. It's a niche variety. It's a specialty rice. So you don't want to get it mixed up with the other varieties when it's taken to the mill. That's why in this first phase of cultivation or production, we're targeting millers, specific millers, who will cultivate it, take it to the mill and process it separately from the other variety. So in that case, you got a throughput of the variety from the field to the factory. If you give, and we have had this experience in the past where you give to a few farmers, and obviously they will take it to the mill, and the miller will mix it up with the other variety, so it gets lost in the system. We don't want that to happen. We want the rice to remain pure from the field to the factory and to the consumer. Then we can make better assessment of it, because it now is going large scale. But I believe we know that in the second crop, and where we're going to have targeted farmers again, we will give those farmers who we targeted seed growers or farmers in the second crop, and they will be given that seed. So again, they will follow the same procedure, harvest and take it to the mill that is purchasing that variety, and that is going to process it separately.
Mr. Ragnott is urging farmers that as they prepare their lands for sowing, they must pay keen attention to land leveling, as a level cultivation will allow them better management of water resources going forward, especially in light of the current drought-like conditions being experienced.
I saw it in Region 2, being done on a very large scale, where farmers are actually removing the high part of the field and taking to the lower part, and even if they have excess after taking it to the lower part, they're taking it out of the field. So leveling of field has taken on a very large proportion. It has gone, it has expanded, it has increased. As a matter of fact, leveling of land under dry land condition was not practiced, was not done over the past couple of seasons, and obviously it was because of the rainfall and the non-drying of those land. Now they were able to dry, they were able to be plowed, and it made leveling very easy, and farmers took advantage of that opportunity to get their land level. Land leveling is very important. It is more important now because of what we're seeing, the limited rainfall that we're having. So water will not be a luxury this season. So the more level the land is, it will allow for better management of the water. Limited water that is available, you can manage it even better, because now you don't have any low spot, any deep spots in the field, so you won't want excess water to fill those low spots and just to barely cover the high spot. The field are all level now, so the water will be spread evenly across the field.
Meanwhile, Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa has assured the nation's farmers that even though the weather forecast is speaking to the continuation of drought-like conditions into the first quarter of 2024, systems have been put in place to ensure that farmers have access to irrigation water in all the rice-growing areas.
Besides the rain, what we expect in another 2-3 weeks' time, we have put system in place. For example, in Region 2, I myself visited the Dawa pump station, and I have put system in place there that pump station will work, and the farmers there will have irrigation. In Region 3, we have opened up water there from the Borough Series Conservancy, and farmers are expected to get proper irrigation in Region 3. Region 4 and Region 5, I don't see any problem. We are getting enough water. I just have a meeting with farmers in Mahaika, in number 7, and here I am at Ithaca, and I am very optimistic that the water level in this area will be sufficient enough for the irrigation in that period. I am hoping in another 2 weeks, as long the projection by the prediction by the Met Office, they told me in another 2 weeks we should have some rainfall, not high intensity, but we should have some fair amount of rainfall which will complement the system that we have put in place. Region 6, the Blackbush Polar Pump is working. All 7 engines are working there. The Manarbisi pump are working in terms of supplying 5274. I have now instructed Gaisuko and NDI, they are working to start the Sandaka pump. And in for the Kanji area, New Amsterdam area, East Bank, I am hoping that they are now running the power line back to the Calabash Creek pump, and that will give the water. So in Region 6, we have 4 big pumps that are working there, and that will give farmers irrigation water.